Good morning, students. Welcome to the biology class. We are continuing with our chapter Morphology of Flowering Plant. Today we are going to discuss morphology of flower. In our previous session we discussed about the morphology of root, stem and leaf, which are being known as the vegetative part of the flower. And the morphology of the flower means flower is the reproductive unit of the flowering plant. General characteristics of your flower. Flower is the reproductive unit in angiosperm. Angiosperm means flowering plant. In this image you can see this is the transverse section, or you can say the longitudinal section of a flower, in which we can see that is the pedicel. Pedicel is the stalk by which the flower is attached to the plant. This is the swollen portion that is known as the receptacle or the thalamus, on which the four whorls of the flowers are being attached. Now we are having the sepal or the callus and chlora and the petal. These two are considered as the non-essential whorls of the flower, whereas the stamen and the pistil, which is being known as the gynoecium or the female reproductive part, and stamen, that is androecium, and male reproductive part, these are known as the essential part of the flower. So when the flower is having a complete four whorls, that is your callus, chlora and stamen and pistil, known as a complete flower. If any one of that particular whorl is absent, then the flower is known as incomplete flower. When both the gynoecium and the androecium, means pistil and the stamen, is present in same flower, the flower is bisexual. If either of them is present, either the male or the female, this flower is known as unisexual. Now we will see detail of the flower characteristics. The flower is the reproductive unit in angiosperm. Flower is modified shoot, as the shoot or the stems, they are having the nodes and internodes, and the same they are having the internode, that is a condensed very small, and the number of appendages at the node, that is known as your floral leaves. The stalk of the flower is called pedicel. The floral leaves are arranged in the whorl on the swollen end of the pedicel or the axis. It is known as thalamus. The flower has four whorls: callus. The unit of the callus is sepal. Chlora, the unit of the chlora is petal, and these two are the non-essential parts. Androecium or the stamen and gynoecium or pistil, these are known as the essential part of the flower. Normally, the flower arises in the axil of a small leaf-like structure called as the bract. Flowers with the bract are known as the bracteate, and those without the brackets, that is being known as the ebracteate. A flower is complete when it has the four whorls, that is callus, chlora, androecium and gynoecium, and the flower is said to be incomplete when any one or more of four whorls they are absent. Either the callus is absent or androecium is absent. A flower is said to be bisexual or hermaphrodite when both the essential whorls, that is androecium and gynoecium, are present. A flower is said to be unisexual when any one of the essential whorls, that is androecium or gynoecium, is absent. A unisexual may be male or staminate when only androecium is present. It may be female or pistillate when only gynoecium is present. Examples of unisexual flower, that is papaya, watermelon, mulberry, date palm, are the examples of the unisexual flower, whereas mustard, china rose, guava, mango, bean, pea, they all are the examples of the bisexual flower. Next, a very important topic is flower with respect to symmetry. A flower is asymmetric, irregular, if it cannot be divided into two similar halves along any vertical plane passing through the center. The example is canna. A flower is actinomorphic, that is radially symmetrical when it can be cut into two identical halves by any vertical plane passing through any radius. The example is mustard China rose. The flower is zygomorphic, that is bilaterally symmetrical, when flower can be cut into two halves by one vertical plane passing through the center. The example is pea bean. So in this image you can see the three symmetries are there. So first, that is asymmetric, that is a canna, and the flower cannot be divided into two halves. It can be cut by any plane. किसी भी प्लेन से अगर आप इसे कट करोगे फ्लावर को, तो किसी भी प्लेन से आपको फ्लावर के दो इक्वल पार्ट्स नहीं मिलेंगे. Such type of symmetry is known as asymmetric. Whereas in actinomorphic, if we cut the flower from any plane, as it is being shown there, from any plane, you will get two equal half of the flower, and that type of symmetry is radial. Radius की तरह अगर हम कहीं से भी फ्लावर को दो पार्ट्स में काटते हैं या कहीं से भी काटते हैं और आपको दो पार्ट्स इक्वल मिलते हैं, such type of symmetry is known as actinomorphic. And in this you get the two equal halves only by one particular plane, that is known as a bilateral or zygomorphic. So these are very important, that is actinomorphic, zygomorphic and asymmetric. Next is very important topic, that is insertion of floral leaves on the basis of the ovary. Ovary is the part of the female reproductive part, that is your gynoecium, and the arrangement, the position will categorize the flower into three categories, that is hypogynous, perigynous and epigynous. So first is your hypogynous, when the ovary is situated on thalamus above all the other floral organ, and the flower is said to be hypogynous and ovary is superior. So you can see in this picture, that is the thalamus and ovary is above the thalamus and all other floral organ are lying below. So the ovary is superior. The example is mustard, tomato, brinjal, China rose. So this is hypogynous, in which the ovary is superior, means situated on the thalamus above all the floral organs, that is your petals, sepal and your stamen. Next is your perigynous, when thalamus form a cup-like structure. So here you can see the thalamus is like a cup-like structure with a dip is there around the ovary, and where the floral organ that is above of that, the ovary is half the superior, or it may be called as half inferior. The example is rose, plum and peach. The next is your epigynous, when the thalamus form the cup and is fused with the ovary. They form the cup and fused with the ovary, and all other organs rises at the top of the ovary, means ovary se upar. So the ovary is inferior. The example is cucurbita. This is cucurbita. You can write R over there. This is cucurbita. Guava. This is called as a cucumber. Khira. So we are having the hypogynous, in which the ovary is superior, perigynous, in which the ovary is half superior or you can say half inferior, whereas in epigynous, that is ovary is inferior. So in this image you can see that is the hypogynous. Gynoecium present above all the floral part. Ovary is superior. Example is brinjal and the China rose. And peri, the gynoecium is present at the center. Other part is almost at the same level. Ovary is half inferior or half superior. And here you can see the ovary enclosed by the thalamus get fused with it. Other parts above the ovary is inferior, that is guava and cucumber. So these are your NCERT image. So kindly draw this diagram in your notebook, and you have a one NCERT question at the back, that is an exercise. Last question is there that you have to explain the insertion of the various floral parts. So next we are taking the first wall of our flower, that is a callus. So callus is the outermost wall of the flower. Its constituent member means the one unit of the callus is called as the sepal. Sepals are normally green, leaf-like, and protect the other floral organs in the bud condition. If the sepals are fused, then it is called as a gamosepalous. So this terminology is very important. And if sepals are free from one another, it is being known as polysepalous. So fused is gamo and the free is poly. Chloride is the second wall of the flower. Its constituent means the unit of that is known as the petal. They are brightly colored. They are meant for attracting the agents for the pollination. Similarly, if the petals are united or fused, it is known as a gamopetalous, and if they are free, known as the polypetalous. The shape of chlora varies in the different parts of the plant. You can see the shape of the petals. It may be bell shaped, it may be oval shape. It is of a various types are there and of a various colors. Next, and a very important topic is estivation. The arrangement of sepal or petal in relation to one another in the bud condition is called estivation. Means the arrangement of the petal or sepals, how they are being arranged, that is within the bud condition, that arrangement is known as the estivation. And the types are, first is velvet. In velvet, the margins of the sepal and the petals in relation to one another, there is no overlapping, they just touch each other. So this is the petals and they are just touching each other. There is no overlapping with this. The example is calotropis, जिसे हम अक बोलते हैं. अक का पौधा, that is called as a calotropis. The next one is twisted. One margin of sepal or petal overlaps the margin of the next sepal or petal, and one margin is overlapped by the margin of another segment. So here you can see this is one petal or the sepal. This is out, this is in, this is out, this is in, this is out, this is in. Means they are, one is in and one is out. So one margin is overlapped, is inner to by the margin of another. So the overlaps the margin of the next. So that is called as a twisted. In this you can see that is in the twisted manner. And that is very much common in hibiscus, that is your China rose. So the petals, they are twisted, means one in and one out. The next is descendingly imbricate. The odd petal or sepal is completely internal. Odd petal or sepal means they are having a 5 petals. If so, out of 5, 1 petal that is completely internal with both its margin being overlapped. So you can see there, this is completely internal with both the margins, they are being overlapped. One petal is completely external. So you can see the one petal is completely external. Fine. So the one petal is completely external and overlaps the margin of its adjacent segment. So these are overlapping with the margin of the adjacent segment, but that is completely, you can see, external. The other three members have one margin overlapped and one margin overlapping the next. So here the next three, one is in, one is out. So they are overlapping in the form of a twisting manners. So like that in the twisted estivation. So again I am going to repeat, that is odd petal means in this particular, this is present in those flowers which are having the odd number of the petals. For example 5. So one petal is completely external, completely internal, one petal is completely internal, and one petal is completely external. And three petals, they are overlapping to each other as in the twisted manner. So the example is, that is known as a Calpulsinia. So this is the one of the example in which we can see the estivation, that is the imbricate. So the next is vexillary, that is very much common in the plants which are having a particular leguminous in nature. Legume plants, that is pea, bean, they are having a nodules in their roots. So posterior vexillum or the standard petal is completely external. So this is having a standard petal which is of a larger size. This is completely external. One overlaps the two winged petals. So these are the overlapping the winged petals. One margin of each winged petal is in or out, and the other two, they are fused in the boat like structure. So one is completely, which is known as the standard petal, is completely external, and one overlaps the two wings like this way. So they are overlapping the two wings, and the another two one, they are fused. So very, you can say the unique feature of that, that is the two smaller petals, they are being fused over there in the bow shape, that is called as the keel. The example is pea, bean, gram. So they are being known as the leguminous plant, in which they show a very special type of the estivation, that is your vexillary. So we are having a four types of estivation, that is velvet, twisted, imbricate, and vexillary. So with this we finishes about the morphology of the flower, about the chloride and the callus, about the various types of the flower, and in our next lesson we discuss about androecium, that is the male reproductive part. Along with that we will discuss the female reproductive part. So you copy all that particular content in your notebook along with the diagram and try to learn the examples. Till then, stay home, stay safe, stay healthy. Thank you.